Hi, it's Amy, and welcome to the absolute madness that is my craft room. I've been doing better at staying organized, but recently a combination of Christmas decorating, crafting, video creation have rendered my craft room pretty much unusable. So let's chat while I clean up this mess. Well, it's tempting to tackle the countertops first. I started with the floor because I knew it would make it easier to move around the room to clean the rest of the surfaces. One thing I want to know is that if something doesn't belong in that room, like these Christmas ornaments, I'm just grabbing it and putting it in the dining room for now. I found that it's really easy to get bogged down when there's this amount of cleaning to do, so I'm not going for perfection, just getting the room tidied and the mess contained. I can do more focused organization in certain areas at a later date. All of my Christmas decor was already in the dining room anyway, so it's all together and ready for me to tackle that particular mess on another day. Also, through the magic of editing, this room is clean in just about 20 minutes, but in reality it took 2 or 3 hours, and I want to make sure that I say that because I know it's really fun and satisfying to watch these sped up videos. This is sped up about 4 times, but it really was quite a time commitment to clean this room. So I'm just finishing up the floor and getting cords moved out of the way. Weird amount of cords. If you're wondering why all this stuff is on the floor as part of the floor cleaning, I did indeed do not just 1, but 2 projects on the floor. I had run out of counter space, and sometimes my brain just tells me that it will be more fun to sit on the floor while doing something, even if ample counter space is available. So I did 2 projects on the floor with my acrylic paints. The first one was ornaments for my Christmas tree. These are just the iridescent, not the regular, the iridescent shatterproof ornaments from Hobby Lobby. And I just poured the paint in them, shook them around. I should have thinned out the paint. I didn't, and the ornaments took forever, literally forever. My arm was so sore, and they still haven't dried. They're hanging on my Christmas tree anyway, but they're not dry. But look, this, I did like a pink one, a blue one, and like a turquoise one, and like an apricot color. But this is how it turned out on the entire tree. I think it looks so pretty. I really love it. There it is. There's the whole tree. I love it. It turned out really cute. It's really hard to see the ornaments. Maybe I'll try to take better pictures one of these days, but I think they turned out cute. So it might have been worth the effort, but I might not do it again. And then the other thing I did was I actually painted a painting. I'm not a painter by any means. This is just craft paint and me messing around. But I am really happy with it, despite the fact that my mother described it as 2 onions and a shallot, which, I mean, she's not wrong. It does look like 2 onions and a shallot, and it shall forever be named 2 onions and a shallot. But this is for a slim shelf above my TV area across from the Christmas tree, and I really wanted something that coordinated, so I just painted that. And as you can see, I am peeling paint out of containers. Does anyone else find that super satisfying? Like once it's dry, just peeling it out of the container. I have these old yogurt lid containers, you know, like when they put the granola in the yogurt, like the granola snap-on lids. I saved those from like high school, and I use them for paint. Anyway, I put all the paint in a box because I don't have a place for it yet, so I'm just leaving it there for now. Then I switched to cleaning out this tub of ribbon and yarn, which was also sitting on the floor, and I immediately got bogged down winding all the ribbon and tidying up the yarn. I should have taken out like the better behaved rolls and just left the rest to deal with later, but alas, I did not. So I spent a ridiculous amount of time organizing those things. This is the craft room Christmas tree that is partly responsible for this mess of ribbon. I tied some bows on it, and I needed some yarn to string pom-poms. So yeah, that's how this absolute mess happened. A lot of this ribbon I had purchased for Christmas stuff. The yarn I had bought on clearance, and the ribbon I had bought both on clearance and new at Hobby Lobby, and so it was stuff that I didn't have a space for because it was new stuff coming in, and I didn't have room where I had been storing my ribbon. Also, I got the bins, the plastic bins at Target. Usually they have them in July around back to school time, and sometimes in January for like New Year's resolution, like cleaning your house kind of stuff. But back to the storage thing, I've been really struggling with how to store my ribbon and yarn. For one thing, a lot of the ribbon that I have could be for both seasonal decorating and for crafting. So I was conflicted on where to store it, and I guess I still am. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. So honestly, I wrapped this up and just left it in the container because I don't know what to do with it right now. So because I have ribbon on spools, and the spools are different sizes, and I also have ribbon scraps that I try to store on cards. But the cards aren't always the same size because I don't consult them when I should. And then there's yarn, and yarn is bulky, and it comes in all different sizes, and from these like tiny little balls to like full skeins. So I guess I'm still struggling with the ribbon part of it. I did figure out the yarn part, you'll see that in a little bit, but the ribbon I'm still struggling with, and that's something I'll figure out later. That's one of the things that I wanted to point out about like cleaning, doing a big clean like this where everything is just a disaster, is trying not to get too bogged down. I did figure out, I grabbed some poster board that was left over from another project, and I cut and folded a piece to make a board for the loose ribbon. It was quick and easy. I had it right there. Also, a video production note. I know that this video might feel more interesting or authentic if I chatted with you while doing the actual cleaning, but there's a few reasons I don't do that, or at least not anymore. First, I'm not great at doing a task and talking at the same time. Honestly, like my hands just slow down and it takes me forever, and I don't even notice that I'm slowing down until I realize that it's been hours and I'm still not done. Additionally, from like an audio perspective, I have to record the audio separately if I want good audio quality, which usually means putting a mic on me, and it's easy to bump it, or the task that I'm doing is loud and sounds obnoxious on the mic. And it can also increase the editing time just depending on the video. Showing my craft room on YouTube is at this point just a creative outlet for me, and not as much an income source. So I really try to be as efficient as possible with the actual video production, and that's why I choose to do a voiceover after the fact, just so there aren't as many moving pieces. So eventually I did realize that I was getting bogged down, and I just put the rest of the unwound yarn in Ziploc bags to deal with another time, and I'm proud of myself for noticing, like at least halfway through, that I was getting bogged down and I just needed to stop. So I just put the rest of the unwound yarn in a Ziploc so that it was tidy-ish. I remembered that I had purchased 2 more bins for my Target organizer, and they're so nice and deep. They're really perfect for bulky items because smaller items would get lost in these bins, and it's hard to organize like a deep drawer like these. So I do need to figure out a space for all the fabric that I pulled out of there, but I'll figure it out eventually. It's just gonna have to be a project for another day. Those shelves weren't an ideal spot for the fabric the way that I have them stored right now anyway. So I did dump some of the fabric that was already in Ziploc bags, like my fabric scraps. I put them in the second bin because I had enough room. I really thought the yarn would take up more space, but it didn't. So then I moved on to this countertop. And this bin of stuff that I just set on the countertop, that I went to an estate sale Saturday morning, and it's my first one, so I was a little nervous, but now I'm addicted, and so I'm nervous about that addiction. But I got so much, the person whose house it was a crafter, and so she had a sewer. So she had a lot of sewing supplies, and I do sew. If you've seen previous videos, you know that. So I scored. I got a plastic drawer organizer that they said everything in the drawer organizer, and the drawer organizer was $8. Look at this, you guys. There's 3 rotary cutters, one of which is still in the package and priced at $19.99. Blades, a ton of pins in like every shape and size, a bajillion crochet hooks, and a really nice pair of the ergonomic shearers, and a bunch of other sewing sundries, and I got it all for $8. So what a deal. I was so excited. I don't know why I need 4 rotary cutters, but anyway. But also, I got a sewing machine, you guys. I have not had a working sewing machine in over a year, and this one was $30, so I took a chance on it. It mostly works. The presser foot's a little funky, and out of the 3 needle positions, only 2 of them work, but at least the middle one works, and then the far left one works. So anyway, I have a sewing machine again, and I'm so excited. Wonky as she may be, she was $30, and I have a sewing machine, so I'm very excited about that. And yeah, so the estate sale paid off. I'm really happy I went. It was really fun. I am just like, at this point I was just trying to find spaces for everything, and I did. This is just such a mess, and I was so overwhelmed for a minute there, but I just kept going. I did find space. One of the drawers that I keep opening, there's a bunch of sewing supplies in there, and it's not particularly organized, but at least it's all in one place. And then this was a folder. I had previously found a folder full of paper scraps from the last time I was into scrapbooking, which was like 2008. And so that folder of paper scraps is really old. But I did want to find a use for some of them, so I went and grabbed some other storage things that I had. I grabbed another magazine organizer and filled it up with those scraps. So this is also something I got at the estate sale. There were a bunch of old stamps, like postage stamps. I think it was like her stamp collection or something. And I'm just taking all the stamps out of the little containers and putting them in different containers so that I have this other little containers for craft supplies. I know it sounds dumb, but in my head it made sense. We'll see. But that's what I'm doing with all these little pieces, is the stamp collection I got at the estate sale. And again, like a lot of this organization challenge was like finding a home for new things versus like things that I had already found a home for. And then this is just a magazine organizer. I find these really helpful for for paper scraps. I like to store paper scraps vertically because if you store them horizontally, then you're constantly having to like disrupt the pile to find what you're looking for, and a lot of stuff gets trapped at the bottom that you'll never find. Versus storing it vertically, you can kind of rifle through it and find things more easily, or be inspired by things more easily, remember that things are there, etc. So I'm trying to store all my paper scraps vertically, and I need to find a different home from them where I ended up putting this, but that'll be another day. And then I also had more paper scraps from more recent paper crafting that I was doing that I combined into this file. So it actually saved quite a bit of space. And all of my paper scraps are in one place now. I do want to go through and sort them like cardstock versus patterned, and like do some filing, and I'll probably make some little file tabs within that file organizer. Just thinking out loud here, but I think that's definitely going to help. And then some of the smaller scraps will go maybe in a different container, but you can see like the white drawer organizer. That's the organizer that all the sewing stuff came in, and I was gonna get rid of it because I don't like those. I think they're really ugly. But I realized that I just had some random stuff that I needed to store somewhere, and so I just put it in there. And then this next shot, which I apologize for cutting off my head in this shot, but I decided to make room for the drawer organizer on the white shelving to the right of my desk. So once I finished clearing up this space, again, I just had so much random stuff from like the Cricut video, the new Cricut stuff, finding a place for my new Cricut mat. It was so satisfying to finally see countertop again, honestly. So good. But then I realized I really did have a use for that 3 drawer, and I did move it off to the right because it's just gonna work so much better. I realized that those fabric bins that I had on that shelving could easily go under the desk. Kind of where I'm disappearing here, there's space under the desk, and those bins stack, so I put them back under there. I used to have them under there in my old craft room, and I just didn't do that in this craft room. So anyway, you can see I kind of found a home for it there. And also, this pegboard is just leaning here up against the wall. There's enough stuff in front of it to where it doesn't fall over. I'll install it eventually, but I was feeling lazy, so I didn't. And it just hangs out, and it's fine. It's all good. So now I could finally tackle this middle countertop, and it actually went so much better than I thought it would because I had already kind of troubleshooted spots for things and found homes for things, and it just went so much faster, and that's kind of what I was going for by leaving it for last. So I'm really happy about that. So even though it was a chaotic mess of things on the counter, it still felt easier because I had a home for things. These are all my photos. I was working on a scrapbooking project, and so all my photos were out, and this big bin to the left that you'll see here is actually it's all note cards and memorabilia and things that I need to put into either scrapbooks or junk journals or something like that instead of storing it in this plastic bin. And then I'll store the junk journals in plastic bins. Haha. But hopefully it'll be organized and easier to see those memories in the future. But that's a future project. In the meantime, I just needed it off my desk. So you're going to see me tackle that as well. And again, these are just like paper crafting embellishments that I already had a home for. So it was so much easier to put it all away. These are paper clips that I borrowed from my prop section. So that went back over to the right of my desk area. And this is me just trying to get rid of this giant bin. Honestly, it just went on the floor under my desk, and it's just gonna live there for right now. It's so much more important to me for this to have the surfaces cleaned off versus having my entire space perfectly organized, especially since even just this took me 2 or 3 hours. I would have been there all day, and I just didn't have the time or motivation for that. Also, if you're struggling to get started and get motivated, something that helps me is going into the craft room and saying, oh, I'm just going to do this one little thing, or I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes, and 2 hours later I realize I'm cleaning the whole room. So I don't know if that works for you, but that is a trick that works for me, is tricking myself into thinking I'm just going to do it for a couple minutes, and or like, you know, while the washing machine is running or something, and then I find myself cleaning the entire space. And that has worked really well for me, not just with this, but with other things too, throughout my space. And then I just had to find room after I clean off my desk. There's so much dust and particles that build up on the surface. I was trying to decide if I wanted my Sizzix and my Cricut, but like if I turn on the Cricut, I can't have the Sizzix in front of it, so. Anyway, look at that floor. Look at that carpet! You can see the carpet. It's great. Here are the glamour shots that you've all been waiting for. Yarn is stored. Surfaces are clean. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it provided the satisfaction or motivation you were looking for. Now that my craft room is all clean, I'll be able to make more videos. So remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, because there'll be more videos soon. And again, thank you so much for watching this video.